Hey everybody, thanks for joining me to check out some more metal albums. Today we're going to be focusing on Canada and more or less on the Black Death genre. So the first thing we're going to look at is this, Solitude with the Eternal by the Toronto-based Black Death band Adversarial, released on Dark Descent, I'm pretty sure last year in 2024. It's got a nice insert there. There's a record on black. Picked this up at Futark Records last time I went in there. I don't go in there enough, but hope to be back soon. And this has become one of my favorite albums of the genre. Comes out blasting from the first split second you hit play. The vocals are a little bit more pure death metal oriented. Very intense, but very controlled. You can hear what's going on. And my favorite tracks on here are probably Death is an Advisor in the Woods of the Devil, and the closing track, Endless Maze of Blackest Dominion. I'm totally ripping off the observation from Terminus Extreme Metal Podcast when they reviewed this a while ago, but that ends the song and album really effectively. Just when you think it's over, you got the pick scrape that proceeds back into the blasting, and then doubles up the speed and just ends the album in style. While we're still talking about Adversarial, I got another couple things to look at, which I think I've looked at briefly in the past, but we'll make it quick again. This is a split Adversarial and another Toronto Black Death band. I'll give the pronunciation a try. Paroxysm. And at least at one time, that band contained one or two members of Adversarial, but I don't think they are any longer. The guitarist from Adversarial is also a member of this band, Azafist. This is their one and only full length, I believe, Blood of Dead God on Vault of Dry Bones, which was really an impressive package, actually. The insert, download code from Vault of Dried Bones, this booklet here, and a beautiful white vinyl. Okay, sticking in the same kind of genre, we have Allfather, Weapon of Ascension. Allfather are a long defunct band from British Columbia, and this is their one and only album from 2005, Weapon of Ascension. So, many things in common with war metal, but overall, definitely much closer to Angel Corpse than anything, and I'd say a faster Angel Corpse at that. This was released on Invictus Productions. I actually found this at Sonic Boom downtown Toronto for $10, and I was like, oh, there's a couple Allfathers out there. Is this a Canadian one? And it is, and lyrics seem to be predominantly about war. I've heard this band referenced, in a controversial manner, and yeah, some of these song titles are definitely gonna raise an eyebrow. But in any case, I thought this was a pretty cool release, and the vocals here handled by a guy named Chad Klassen, and I probably not the same guy, but I don't know. I used to live in British Columbia between the ages of 12 and 16, and little brother of a guy I played hockey with was Chad Klassen. I never know. But yeah, there we go. Allfather, Weapon of Ascension. We'll look at some CDs now. The new Revenge album from 2024, released on Season of Mist. This is the 7th full-length album by this Edmonton band. Once again, Black Death or war metal, depending on how you're looking at it. I never really tried to differentiate the Revenge albums or pick apart what's different about them. What I do know, however, is that I am not saying they are the most intense band out there, but just when talking to somewhat mainstream metal fans and they want something really intense, I think that's a good reference point, and I think it when they first hear it, they're like, "Whoa, what is this?" So I think they're just the easiest intense metal reference point for the newbies out there. Now, from what I gather, this is a somewhat varied Revenge release. Those slower, groovier parts, in some ways, they do feel a little bit too upbeat. It's like some guy like waltzing down the street or just walking very fast. I find it a little odd, but it's just a part of their sound. And speaking of their sound, very drum and vocal based music here. Yeah, you hear the guitar and bass and all that, but you're really focusing on the lyrics and the amazing drumming by Jay Reed. I saw Revenge one time. That was opening for Mayhem and Watain probably 9 years ago. And I got close to the front of the stage, just focused on Jay Reed doing his thing. His eyes were rolling into the back of his head the whole time. Pretty intense. And I'm not sure they've come recently, but I do remember several years ago they did come back to Toronto. I think the tour was called No More Safe Space. It was with Shining from Sweden and the American band Wolfhammer. I meant to check that out, but didn't make it. So, Revenge. My favorite song on here is definitely the closer, Divine Tumult. Slower track when I generally like the faster tracks by this band, but those vocals are just so nasty on there that's the one that sticks out to me. Finally, something a little different. We're gonna go straight into straightforward death metal, and this is the Toronto-based band Intestinal Hex and their one and only full-length album, The Exalted Chambers of Abhorrence, on CDN Records. So this is a solo project by Daniel from most notably Gut Void, and he has many death metal projects, but on this one he is doing everything on his own, including vocals. I think this might be the only band that he's a part of where he handles the vocals, but he does a pretty commendable job bringing to mind mostly Corpse Grinder to me. And speaking of Cannibal Corpse, lots of kind of Cannibal Corpse-y bass parts, and overall I would consider them Demilich meets Cannibal Corpse. There's even one song, I forget the song title, that really reminded me of Devoured by Vermin from Vile, which is the first Cannibal Corpse album I ever bought. And before we close it off, I got one other thing by Intestinal Hex that pretty much sums up their discography. I think they have one EP or single or something. So this is Medieval Grime. They're split with Puke Wraith. Also on CDN Records. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.